I often ask myself the question, what is DCC like, and is it really that much better than DC? Well, in this video, you get to see how my curiosity got the best of me. Hey everybody, I'm Chris with the Mill Run and Western Maryland Railway, and today we're installing a DCC decoder in my 210 Russian Decapod. So hop on. Before we begin, I just want to let you know, I am no expert on DCC. The locomotive I am installing the decoder in today is a DCC ready locomotive, so it's probably the easiest DCC conversion setup that can be done. With that said, it's also proof that you can do it. Now, I'm not installing sound, I'm just want to get my feet wet in the DCC world. Alright, let's get started. So the decoder I'm using is a Digitrax DH166P. It's a 9-pin decoder. This is really a plug and play setup, but has the additional wires in the harness for more functions. I start by laying my locomotive out on a soft foam pad and lay out my tools. The circuit board is in the tender, so we will need to remove the upper part of the tender to access that. For whatever reason, I could not get my tender to unplug from the locomotive, so I just left it connected. It would be easier to do this if you could get it unhooked. I removed the screw in the front of the tender. It's located under the front tender truck. The rear of the tender attaches to the tender frame with 2 clips. This was a challenge to get released. It was hard to see which directions the pins locked. Here you can see the pins locked towards the rear of the tender through the frame. Now that I was inside the tender, I removed the dummy plug from the board. This is where the 8-pin end of our plug from our decoder will hook into. Rolling right along, I then plugged the harness into the circuit board. This took some effort to get plugged in, but I assume the pins may have gotten slightly bent in packaging. Once connected to the board, I then plugged the 9-pin end of the harness into the decoder itself. Next, I cut the leg to this capacitor and tucked it out of the way. I've read in several forums that this is necessary, but I cannot find an explanation as to why. So, I'm going to leave it up to those of you who know a lot more than I do. Please comment below and tell us the reason why this has to be done. Thank you. Moving forward, it's time to tuck everything away and reinstall the tender cover. Overall, this was probably the hardest part, and could have been made easier if perhaps I taped all the wires and decoder into position, but I left it all loose so that it could shift around as I mounted the tender to the frame. I reinstalled the screw, and that's it. It's time to test it. I was pretty nervous, so I began with testing the headlight. So far, so good. Once I started the locomotive forward, I was completely sold on this conversion. it didn't take half the power it usually took to make this locomotive move. And the slow speed improved drastically. Of course, the lights are a lot brighter, and they stay on depending on which direction you have it set for. Overall, for the money, the painless effort, and the improvement in performance, this upgrade was well worth it. I'm very pleased with how this thing turned out. And just by the way, I use one power pack to run both DC and DCC. It's the Tech 6 by MRC. I upgraded to these quite a while ago, and they give me the option of running either DC or DCC with just a press of a button. So if you're running DC layout and you're considering DCC, I highly recommend this power pack. I purchased mine from modeltrainstuff.com, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. Alright, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and will possibly give it a like. And don't forget to consider subscribing. So until next time, I'm Chris with the Mill Run and Western Maryland Railway. Thanks for watching.